So I'm hoping that I have not really let you guys know how I am going to vote, because I don't want to do that in this class. It is not my job. It is basically your job to figure out how you want to vote. I do want everybody who can vote to vote. All right, this is something that I want to share with you guys, unless you guys have pressing questions about the exam on Thursday. First question, what exam? I didn't know about any exam on Thursday. Nobody told me about exams on Thursday. Well, there's exam 2 on Thursday. It is going to account for 20% of your final grade, just like the first exam, except this one will only include topics about arrays, control structures like loops, conditional statements, variables, assignment statements, and that sort of stuff. There will not be pre and post conditions. Okay, there's no derivation, mathematical derivation of pre and post conditions. Your traces will still have a line of pre and a line of post, but that's not the pre and post conditions. That's just indicating the beginning of a trace and the end of a trace. So that is still there, but no substitution rule, forget rule, that sort of stuff. Okay, it's still open book, open notes. Okay, anything that is printed or handwritten prior to the test, you can bring it. Okay, it's just that you cannot use a computer during the test. And that was something that we had talked about before. But this time, I will pre-print, the paper that you need to do the trace. In other words, I will have paper that is designed like this, just so that you guys know what to expect, because I think it is important for you guys to know what to expect. So I will give you sheets of paper. The first part is the question number is written here. You should definitely write your name down on every single sheet, just in case. Okay. If not your full name, at least give me your last name, so in case things get shuffled, I know which person owns that. The algorithm will be listed here, okay? And I will even give you a grid-based thing below the algorithm for the trace itself. It will be already a grid thing. Comments goes here, line number goes here, variables, arrays, it'll go onto the other side, and the grid will be pre-drawn. So you guys don't need to bring your own rulers to make your own grids. Okay? Any questions? And I'll give you guys spare sheets too. So if someone says, I kind of want to start from scratch, I can give you like an extra paper, so you can just start with the extra paper too. Are there any questions about what to expect on Thursday for this test? Yep.
There won't be no subroutines?
No subroutines. Subroutines will not be a part of the topic of this test. Just up to arrays, but no pre and post conditions either. Now, assignment statements has to be there. Conditional statements has to be there. The operators that we talked about has to be there. So mod can potentially be there. The floor function can potentially be there. Short-circuited evaluation, the and and the or, will be there. Okay. Any questions about the scope of this test? No? This is all good? Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. This is also one, article that I found. Yep, go ahead.
What the body search homework? Did you already grade that?
No, I've not graded that yet. Trust me, I am trying to work as quickly as I can, but I just cannot get it done. Because I'm reading articles like this. Which I think in the long run is actually more important than the homework. Did I talk about the solution of that homework? No? Yes? I did? Okay. That's the important part, is to make sure that you guys know what it is supposed to be. The grading part after this point is really just point values. Okay. I know it is important, but it will be done eventually. Okay, that's the important part. Okay, so here we have a little article here. 20 years have passed, and basically the author was saying, okay, I'm recording. The author is basically saying that we are wasting tax money to raise the awareness and the education level of mathematics. Okay. Okay, so that's basically the opening of this thing here. And it's basically saying, we're doing, aggressive marketing of math, okay? Basically, why it's comparing the promotion of math concepts, or the education of mathematical concepts to, teeth whitening, or growing hair, and a sculpt, physique that is essential to a good life. Okay, you guys, okay, math is equivalent to Rogaine. Okay, is that good? Okay, you guys get the idea, or at least what the author is trying to say? Okay, except it's paid by tax money, okay, in the case of math education. So it is with math education, a lot of effort and money has been spent to make math seem essential to everyone's daily life. So the implication is it is not important or essential to the daily life of most people. That is basically the premise of this article. So I'll just kind of skip a lot of the boring stuff and skip to the other part here. Okay, the second question is more fundamental. How much math do you really need in everyday life? Ask yourself that, and also the next 10 people you meet, say your students and your colleagues, because in my case, now it's interesting he mentions mechanics, so I'll have something to say about that later. Okay. Unlike literature, history, politics, and music, math has little relevance to everyday life. You go to McDonald's, you buy a hamburger. How much change are you supposed to get? I don't know. It's not important. That courses such as quantitative reasoning improves critical thinking is an unsubstantiated myth. All right. All the mathematics one needs in real life can be learned in early years without much fuss. Now, that is kind of fuzzy statement itself. Because what is early life? Okay. Now, most people perceive early life as through elementary school. I think that's a fairly safe assumption. Okay. But I think pushing it to middle school is kind of a push. Early life, usually does not include middle school. Maybe middle school. Okay. Most adults have no contact with math at work, nor do they curl up with an algebra book for relaxation. No, I don't do algebra for relaxation. I just write programs like kernels and, in assembly. Yes. Yeah. Trust me, it is quite relaxing. Okay, those who do love math and science have been doing very well. We have been producing the same number of Nobel Prize winners since 1983, same as before 1983. What it did not, break it down is, how many of those people are immigrants, first generation, second generation, and so on. I'm not suggesting that people who are born in the United States, including my own children, are less lesser than immigrants. I'm talking about what education did they go through? Did it make a difference? Okay, are you guys starting to see? Yep, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, it's not even taking into account the growth of population. So you may have the same number, but how many more people do you have?
The population of the United States has pretty much stayed as a flat line.
27 years?
For the long, it has increased just a little bit. For the most part, it is because of immigration that keeps it level. Because if you look at the birth rate, of the United States, it's actually tapering off just a little bit. It's not a very big drop over time, but it is a negative number in terms of birth rate. So the population is kind of kept leveled, because of immigration. It kind of keeps it at a certain constant, population. It's not increasing very quickly, like in some other countries. But it does not break down to, it does not say how these 140 Nobel Prize winners got their education. Okay, that's my point, is how are these people educated? Are they educated in the United States for the most part, or are they educated overseas? Are they educated by the public education system? Are they educated by private schools? There's no breakdown of any kind. Okay? Now, obviously this article does not apply to private education because it is your money, you decide how you want to get educated. This article was mostly related to tax money funded promotions of mathematics in education. Okay? As for the rest, okay, there's no obligation to love math any more than grammar, composition, curfew, of washing up after dinner? Why create a need to make it palatable to all and spend taxpayers' money on pointless endeavors without demonstrable results or accountability? And the last part here is basically saying, this is just, a blind push of, the importance of math, probably by math professors because they want to keep their jobs, right? I mean, think about it. Who are the people who have the most to lose if we think mathematics is not important? Most people have to gain and not lose. Okay, I'll show you guys why I think that. Okay, so are we okay with the article? Or at least the general idea of the article, what it is trying to say. Okay, so I will go to my email and show you what I think on this matter. I sent this to all my colleagues, so this is no secret of any kind. And the answer is no, I did not reply to that author because my feedback will just be promptly ignored. I mean, who are you? The first question is, who are you? Well, I teach at American River College. And what is that? It's a community college in California. I'm not talking to you. So I'll show you my response to that. Okay, so I'm going to start with this part here out of the context of a programming class. I mean, because obviously programming classes need more math than some other classes, and not everybody is taking a programming class. Most of you are, or at least need. But not everybody is. The majority of population do not need programming classes. So we'll just kind of forget about that. Okay, the first example that math is important is, if someone, and everybody has to go through this, a few times in their lives, is to buy a new car. Okay, your old car breaks down, died, and now you need a new car. Okay, and these days, fuel efficiency is kind of an important thing because the price of fuel has increased. Do you guys see any chances that gasoline will get cheaper, getting back to $1 per gallon? No. That's not going to happen, right? I mean, Chevron is not in the business of charity. Right? When the economy went south, and most of us, have a lot of money lost because of investments and whatnot, I think Exxon actually had a record earning that year. That same year, Exxon had record earning. Okay? So that tells me that fuel efficiency is only going to become more important. So now the question is, let's say someone is considering a Corolla versus a Prius. Okay? The question is it worth the extra money to buy a Prius? Okay? Now, some people will buy a Prius just because it looks greener. Okay? So I can say, I drive a green car. But most people are more pragmatic and ask the question, is it going to save me money during the ownership of this car? Because that's the bottom line, it's money. Okay? How would you answer that question? What variables do you need, or what kind of information do you need to make that decision?
How much maintenance do you require?
Okay, how much maintenance in terms of dollar amount?
Quality of the brake system.
Quality of the brake system.
And the cost of the car. Like if you're doing
Okay, the cost of the car, but how about how many miles you drive a day? Okay, that's a big thing, right? How many miles do you drive a day? And what do you think the gas prices will be in the near future, in the next 5, 10 years, or whatever? Those are all important factors. Now, once you know all the important factors, you have to set up an equation. On one side, you say, okay, let's say n is the number of years. This is the amount of money that I need in n years of owning this car. And then on the other side of the equation is also using n as number of years, but it will be the amount of money you need for the other car. Now, when these two amounts equal, that's that n is the break-even point. Okay, so there are kind of many factors to consider, and you have to set up the